Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video today we're finishing up the MCU. We're going to do Endgame and Far From Home. And then we'll officially be done with this very arduous journey that we've been on. I mean, it's like 11 years worth of movies, but we finally got through it all. We did have a ton of fun talking about all these movies because we're very passionate fans of Marvel and all those characters. So it was a blast to make all this, but we are excited to move on to other topics and areas that also pique our interest. So get ready for new and exciting discussions in the near future. We're going to go ahead and get started with this video. Hope you guys enjoy.
Endgame, I actually put in A.
I put mine in S because I already know what you're going to say bad about it because I have the same bad things to say about it. But I feel like the good things were so good that they kind of excused it.
They really do.
They may be a little hypocritical as far as what I've said about some of the other things on this list. So I'm going to put it at A for now because I feel like I'm probably going to end up talking myself into A after we kind of talk about the bad things.
I think Endgame is phenomenal because I was like, when I was grading this one, I was like, you know what? I'm teetering so far back and forth between S and A because it's hard for me to rank Infinity War higher and then put one below because as I see it, I've heard so many people say, "Oh, Infinity War is better. Infinity War is better than that one." But in my mind, I go, you know what? I almost want to push it up to S just because I see them as just one big movie because Endgame is just kind of coming back from the loss, like from failure rises success, and that's just one. It's just like one long movie of, hey, now we got to get our shit together. They're just essentially dealing with the fact that they did lose. My thing with the movie that and it's a negative for me as much as it is a positive for me, where it does spend a lot more time with the characters recuperating even after they decide they're going to time travel and try to get the stones back. It's gathering themselves. It is slower pace for that. So I say it's a positive and a negative because for me, I did enjoy that. But at the same time, I guess my biased mind following Infinity War, where I was just like, okay, get to it. Get this fucking mission underway. Let's beat Thanos' ass really quick. Let's just go. Because I was already heated, I guess, after Infinity War, where I'm just ready for that giant battle, where I get that they need those character moments though to continue after everything that happened in Infinity War. I get it because especially for some of them who ultimately are going to meet their end in this movie, whether it's Iron Man, Cap, or whoever. You need those moments to kind of bring their journey full circle.
Yeah, so if you think about it in the terms of, I know what you're kind of saying, like, how could you rank Infinity War at S but then put Endgame at A when Endgame is literally supposed to be the culmination of like 12 years or 10 years worth of movies and story and character work just to get to this point. It's not bad by any means. The Russos, kudos to them for doing yet another movie with a bunch of characters and making it work. Like when you have that many characters and you somehow manage to give them like adequate screen time and make them look competent and all that kind of stuff, like they do a great job. To your point where you were saying, like, you know, when it's in the middle and it's kind of showing how they've all been affected over the last 5 years after the snap, it is kind of slow and you want to get to the action. You want Thanos to get murdered. Like, I get it. But I think that's why the start of the movie is literally the remaining team. They go and kill Thanos like right off the bat. Like they almost give you sort of that like satisfaction of like revenge. Like it's hollow, but it's like it's a victory. Like, yeah, you got him. The stones are gone. You can't use them to bring everybody back.
Yeah.
So then you got to show how everybody's being affected and all this over the years. Black Widow, you don't know it at the time, but she's going to sacrifice herself. So they have to show how she's taking it so hard that she failed. And she's trying desperately to hold on because S.H.I.E.L.D. is literally the thing that saved her from going down the wrong path. And she, you know, everybody that she knows and loves and that her family is the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. And she feels like she failed just like everybody else. And she's trying to hold on to that, keep the Avengers going and stuff, just to kind of give herself some purpose, because she feels like without them she has nothing. That kind of just gets you to sympathize with her a little bit more when she does finally make that sacrifice. To see her and Clint fight over who gets to sacrifice themselves. Here's the thing, if Clint would have sacrificed himself and then his family came back, that would have been so much more sad. But he wants to, because he thinks, if this doesn't work, I don't want to be alive anymore anyway. Like, I'd rather sacrifice myself and save my family than go on and then have hope ripped out of my hands again. That line when he says, "Don't do that, don't give me hope," is like one of the best lines in the movie.
It is a gut
because he's saying what we're all thinking. Like, don't give me hope, like that this is gonna work out like it's supposed to.
Yeah, like, what if nothing does come of it?
Exactly.
Like, you're gonna really fuck me over.
There's a lot up in the air right now. So that, I feel like the pacing has to be that way in order to make you feel like everything later on isn't, like, it can't just be action the whole time, because it would be exhausting. But it does a pretty good job of getting into the time heist, like, fairly quickly, I feel like.
They do a good job explaining it, at least I thought.
Yeah, they did a good job explaining it, and the way that the rules of how time travel works in the quantum realm and all that kind of stuff, they use that as a way to kind of, do Cap's thing at the end and all that kind of stuff. So the way it works, it's like they can do that and then not screw anything up, really, by doing what they're doing, I guess. So Professor Hulk was cool to see. Probably the best version of Hulk.
So much fun.
So far. Because it's like Banner's personality, but he's like a little bit more confident. Like when your dad tries to act cool around your friends, sort of thing. Like he's just, it's like cringy when he's trying to like be cool or make jokes or whatever. But when he's like fighting and doing his thing, and he did the snap, and he's a badass all the way through. Fat Thor reveal was it was good. I don't think it made the movie or the character any more unlikable in any way. I think it made him more likable, because it just kind of shows like, he was depressed and angry with himself for the failure, and it just, when someone gets depressed, I mean, that happens sometimes, It does. You eat or drink yourself into this state where he fell a long way, but then he showed at the end of the movie, like, he's still Thor. He's still powerful. He's still competent. He just has a bit of a drinking problem.
Cap and Thor's hammer. That is, I think that's the most I've ever screamed in a movie theater.
That was unexpected, because they teased it all the way back in Age of Ultron, and then you're just like, you just never thought it was going to pay off, because it's just so weird to see in a movie. He used it like he's used it before, which is just like, it just bothers me that Cap is just so good at any weapon or anything he uses in it. And that's just
like, he's like the master of everything.
I guess it's just his super soldier brain, probably. But like, he was just putting on a clinic with that thing. That badass scene of those three going out there to fight him, and I feel like we should mention too the Thanos. So Thanos, at the end of the movie, he's the 2014 version of Thanos. And I feel like that version, he's almost the better version to have at the end of the movie to fight as the big bad, like, because
as the main one.
2014 Thanos was so much more ruthless, I feel like.
Josh Brolin. The man is, like, his voice is so menacing. The way what he brought to Thanos was fantastic. Yeah, because when I heard that, his entire monologue when those three walk up, which, by the way, is just, like,
it's
a
great
scene of their feet walking up, where you see Thanos between their legs, like, that just is like, I could frame that and put that on the wall. But it's like Thanos alone, that entire monologue that he gives is so chilling, and even though I'm like, this is the culmination of everything.
Yeah,
I didn't know how it was gonna end. I was pretty convinced in that movie, because I know it was kind of teased, and there was an idea to kill Cap. There was like an idea to kill Thor in this movie too, and there's a lot of stuff in here just to like. Still a win, but like I had so much fear going into it, and I think it comes from that monologue alone. Because him saying, he's like, I want you to know that I'm gonna enjoy everything I'm about to do right now. Like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
The really subtle things that I appreciate in Endgame too here at the end. After those three, they try to fight him on their own to hold him off for a little bit. Everybody else is kind of trapped inside the rubble, and then you get Cap is the only one, after he gets his shield broken too, which I thought was just bonkers when that happened. His shield's broken, and Thanos' forces are rolling up. Ground troops, they got all the ships, they got the big ship, the Black Order's back, they got those big gorilla alien looking things. I was not sure what was going to happen. I thought Cap maybe would die there. Like, he would go out in a blaze of glory. And so he stands up, he straps his shield tighter. Really, you can tell, like, he's hurting bad, but he's Cap, so he's going to get up and fight. And he's, like, getting ready. He's just going to run at this army. Like, if what happened next didn't happen, he was going to run at him and take them all on. Yeah, that's just the kind of person he is. He's going to fight till the end.
If you watch it again, what's crazy, which I just realized recently, is that scene where he straps that shield back to his arm. He's like, fuck it, here I go. I'm going to go fight him. You know he's hurting, but you don't know what extent. But if you watch it again and you see when he's strapping that to his arm, he uses his shield and that strap essentially as a tourniquet, because in his entire left arm, there's like this big open fucking wound just open on his arm.
Oh shit.
And that strap is pulling it together. And I paused it there just to look. And I was like, shit, it's a giant gash like in his arm. And when he straps it, that's why he makes that giant like grimace face. It's because he's like pulling that together.
Oh wow! I didn't notice that detail. We're getting into where I really appreciate the facial expressions and subtle like physical acting that happens. The face that Thanos makes, he has that little smirk. He basically knows he's won. He's like satisfied. He's like, I'm really gonna enjoy having my whole army like just destroy you. Even though you're only one person, I'm gonna make every single soldier attack you. The portal opens and he says on your left. He brings it all the way back to Winter Soldier. Everybody starts walking through. Black Panther walks through. Whenever you see Cap is like, he turns around. He's still heavy breathing. He's like relieved. You can tell he's starting to be relieved.
You can tell he's relieved.
And then when he realizes everybody else is also coming through, when Spider-Man comes back, Cap smiles. For whatever reason, as soon as he sees Spider-Man, he smiles. That gets me for some reason. I'm just like, he's like, all right, the kid's all right. Like, everybody's showing back up. Like, you can see Thanos, whenever the portal started opening up, it goes back to him, and he's like, his smirk disappears, and it's kind of a grimace, and he's like, what's happening? Like, I had victory. Like, why is this happening right now? Like, what's good? Am I going to lose? Like, you could start to see, like, his face and Cap's face they're doing the opposite. I really appreciated, too, that the entire Wakandan army comes back through. All the Asgardians come through. All the Ravagers come through. It's everyone. It's everyone you've seen in all of the movies up to this point, except for the people that are dead and Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's kind of one thing that I would actually add to this movie if I could. You get that funny moment with Wong, like, what, you wanted more? Like, yeah, it's Thanos and his entire army. We need as much as we can get. And then, you get Giant Man up through the rubble. Cap turns back around. All of his friends are there. All of his team. His buddies. He's got his boys with him. He turns back around, and it kind of goes from like relieved to like pissed off. Like, okay, now that I've got everybody, we're gonna fuck you up. And then Thanos looks almost like scared. Cap, when he says the Avengers assemble, what I appreciate about that is not only does it pay off that little blue balls thing that it happened at the end of Age of Ultron, where he was gonna say it, so you finally get that payoff. Everybody that was in the army with him right there, Korg, Meek, all the Ravagers, the Asgardians, everybody, he just made basically like honorary Avengers. That's how I think of it in my head. Like, he says Avengers and you just think like, oh, he just means the Avengers. But he's like, no, everybody that showed up there with him right now, he just made honorary Avengers in my mind.
Turned everybody into it, whether you were or not. You're
if you're here fighting with us, then you're an Avenger. And that's just like, for whatever reason, that just speaks to me a little bit. It makes it a little bit more like, almost kind of makes it feel like you're with them, like you're fighting with them. And I know that sounds kind of lame. That's like such a nerdy, lame, sad thing to say, but it's like, it makes you feel like an Avenger. He's like including everybody who's been with him on this journey this whole time. But the part that you and I kind of agree that we don't like about this. In every Avengers movie, there kind of tends to be this one thing that kind of just stops the army that they're facing. In this movie, it's the snap that kind of kills the rest of Thanos' army, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the gauntlet has been the main focus of this movie the entire time. It's not just some remote control ship that shuts off all the soldiers. Captain Marvel shows up, albeit at a very opportune time, and due to the way that you set her up in her own movie, she's obviously ultra powerful. She kind of shows up and she just blows up the main ship, saves the rest of them, enables them to keep fighting. The way that you set her up, that perfectly makes sense. However, it's the problem that we have is that we don't think she should have been set up that way anyway. it makes sense, and honestly, it rubs people the wrong way because she is supposed to get you prepared for the more cosmic level like threats. Like Thanos, obviously a huge threat, but
Right.
when it comes to like the Celestials or like Kang the Conqueror, Galactus, you can't go from Iron Man to Galactus. You have to have something in between that's pretty powerful. It's just that there's nothing that powerful in these movies yet. So she looks
Absolutely.
super overpowered. But when it gets to one of those movies where they feature Galactus or something, she's just going to look like maybe par for the course. Like she's going to be a huge help there.
They want Captain Marvel to be at this space, which I do too, but they kind of just rushed her into this OP position instead of just like building her to it.
Exactly.
And that's kind of my gripe with her in this movie too.
Yeah. It's nice to see her interacting with some of the other characters throughout the movie. Her haircut makes her look 10 times better.
100%.
It fits better. It looks really good. Scarlet Witch though is actually the most powerful person in the MCU in my opinion. Probably her, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel. I guess you could argue probably the three most powerful heroes. Thor.
It's absolutely proved in this movie just because.
Yeah. Oh man. She fucks up Thanos. If he hadn't said, basically kill all my troops with this barrage from the ship, like she would have like crushed him to death with telekinesis or however her powers are set up.
Destroyed him single-handedly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She was fucking up his armor. She broke his sword. Like that sword that broke Captain America's shield, she was cracking it. I guess you can also say that Captain Marvel really isn't shown to be all that powerful because like, she can blow up material things all the livelong day, but when it comes to Thanos, who is ultra powerful and who has the Infinity Stones, like I'm glad that they showed her. She was fighting him. He headbutted her. It didn't make her flinch, didn't hurt her at all. But then he took off the Power Stone and punched her with it, and she sent her flying. God. And I was like, if you think she's ultra powerful, like she has nothing on an Infinity Stone. She has nothing on Thanos with an Infinity Stone by any means. Well, I guess while we're talking about the female characters, that little scene of them like woman power thing.
Yeah, where they all came together.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that said like that was so forced. Basically shoved it down your throat like these are all the women and they're strong and powerful. I didn't feel that at all, man. I thought that was a cool scene.
I didn't feel it was forced. I took a moment where I was like, oh, wow, how convenient. All the girls there were together and not a single male character was around.
Exactly.
But is it enough for me to be like, yeah, that's forced. They're trying to push something?
No, because if you think about it, most of the other movies, they show a group shot of just the male characters all the time. Like
all the time. Yeah.
The Avengers and whatever. It didn't seem all that... I mean, it's kind of weird if you think about it. Like, why would all these girls just group up on the battlefield and they wouldn't be thinking in their head, like, girl power, or this would make for a cool shot? In terms of, like, it just shows you, like, how many female characters they've amassed over the years. And that it made me realize, like, there's way more than I thought there were. It's just because they've been so spread out. And I would love to see a team or an Avengers movie of just the chicks. Like, I think that would be so cool.
I'd be fine with that.
Because there's a lot of powerful ass people in that little group, but you also have enough range in terms of their abilities and stuff to have a fun group. You could have Shuri, you could have Wasp, you can have Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel. Like that's such a diverse group of characters and people, and I don't know. It works, man.
So many great characters. I didn't feel the complete.
No, it wasn't like forced down my throat.
I told Anna too, my girlfriend, and I told her that. I was like, listen, I didn't like Captain Marvel this whole movie, but for some reason, whenever she said the line, "Hey, Peter Parker," I was completely turned on by Captain Marvel. And she was, I was like, oh my God, this is the most attractive Marvel hero we have now. It was incredibly sexy. I was like, oh
she's like, Peter Parker, you got something for me?
Yeah, you got something for me? I was like, yes, he does.
Iron Man, actually pretty unexpected still, even though I figured he was going to die. Pretty unexpected the way that he got the stones, an inventive way, I thought, of instead of him just like picking up the gauntlet or like, he uses his nanobots to get him off the gauntlet in time, and he gets to say basically his catchphrase, all the way back from the first movie. He used to say, "I am Iron Man," and then he just gets his redemption, man. He saves the day. He finally He's the guy to lay down over the wire to let the other guy cross.
Just like it was told them in the beginning, you know,
Exactly.
and he finally sent it full circle, and he had the best, you know, R.I.P. to that character. Robert Downey Jr. is fantastic. He did such a good job with him, and this full circle that he had in terms of just creating a whole different persona from what he started at in Iron Man in 2008 from where he is now. It's
Yeah.
crazy to where we got with him.
And I mean, he had a family. Now. His daughter, by the way, we didn't really mention Morgan, is adorable.
We didn't mention "I Love You 3000" at all. We're
Oh man,
a bunch of idiots.
She was a really good actor. That's what I appreciate too. Is when there's good kid actors. There's not enough good kid actors in a lot of movies. But she did a really good job. She was really cute, really funny. Every time she said something funny or giggled or whatever, I laughed.
Yeah, but we definitely should move on just because we've touched so much on that one.
We probably should. Last one here is Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Final one.
I have this in B tier.
B tier. I put it in. Let me see. I put it in A tier. It wasn't as good as the first, but I definitely put it in A. So yeah, we'll leave it in B for now.
Okay, I'm gonna move Doctor Strange up to A because I feel like it should be there. That's kind of the only one that I'm still thinking about on this list where it should be moved. I think I'm alright with that.
Yeah.
So Far From Home, great cast, great humor, great setting, great acting. The action is pretty good when it does happen. I just feel like there's not as much in this movie for some reason. It feels more spread out.
I think there's like memorable parts of each fight or each action, but not memorable action altogether. Altogether, I don't see like one of the big ones, for instance, is like when he's fighting the Molten Man, in that little little Ferris wheel area, little carnival area, I guess. But if you think about it, like, can you really narrow down every bit of that, like that scene? It's just kind of like the parts I narrow down from it are the parts I got in the trailer, right? The thing where he's like running up the wall and then does like a backflip off.
Yeah.
And then I guess the end scene is the big battle too with him and Mysterio. That's probably the best scene for me.
Oh yeah.
But like, I think my biggest gripe with it is just, I do like him and MJ's like their romance in this movie. But at the same time, like I feel I'm like split. I feel like I'm also like forced upon it, where I'm just like I'm not at some points when it's going on.
It's definitely
I'm not asking for it.
It's definitely more subtle though, in this movie than it has been in like the other two Spider-Man franchises.
Spider-Man 2.
It's like the relationship and love aspect is forced down your throat, like in the first movie in both iterations of the character. This one is like, it's very subtle. It happens at the end. He kisses her once, and that's like it. It's not like super in your face about it. And she's so different. She's like weird enough of a character where she feels more like a friend than like. She wasn't in any danger. She was at a certain point, but he wasn't like having to like save her like a damsel in distress like the other Spider-Man movies, I feel like. So I feel like she's more of a kind of a, she's different in terms of like her personality is different. She doesn't feel like a helpless girl. She feels like she's strong and smart, and she can handle kind of herself on her own a little bit. Just where I feel like female characters like that, like where they're like the love interest, they always get treated like a damsel in distress or whatever. Iris West. We'll keep going with good things. Jake Gyllenhaal does a good job. I love Mysterio in this movie. A really good backstory for why he does what he does. He used to work for Stark. Got kind of gypped. He feels like, so he's gonna get his payback, and all he has to do is some psychological manipulation with some holograms, and bang bang boom, you got the glasses.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the same thing, but one of the characters that's part of like the Stark industry or whatever that hates him, and all these group of people in the bar with Jake Gyllenhaal. But one of them is the same guy that Obadiah Stane bitched at in the first movie.
Yeah, I did remember watching something about that, so that was cool.
Yeah, it's like just another like character they bring back, and you're just like, even to something small like that, you don't even need to, but they did.
Yeah, it was cool to see a different setting. Obviously, like a lot of these movies over the years have taken places in different cities and battlefields and stuff like that, but I don't think I've seen like a European one yet that I can remember. Like not a major European city anyway. Like you go, they're in they're in Rome, and then they go to London at the end. They're in Prague. Like those are big name European cities.
Yeah, it's crazy to see if you really think about it, see the character Spider-Man
Anywhere
even
outside
though
of New York.
Yeah, he's not in New York right now.
Yeah.
He's in Europe.
And the humor's great throughout all of it. The chaperones on the field trip are hilarious.
Oh my god!
Probably
JB Smoob's in there, isn't he?
Yeah, he was the. Oh man, I don't remember. I don't know what teacher he is, but he was hilarious. Whenever he's talking about like all the elementals are coming together, he's like, "Oh, earth, wind, fire, and water. They're combining forces like the Power Rangers." And then the other guy is like, "No, you're thinking of Voltron." And I'm like, "You guys cannot be having this discussion. Like you're about to be you're about to get murdered." Yeah. So that was great. The humor is great throughout all of it. At the end, there you get J.K. Simmons coming back as J. Jonah Jameson, which is a beautiful move, beautiful play. So great to hear his voice again. He's doing a Daily Bugle, like a webcast almost, and he's got the scoop there with Spider-Man's identity getting revealed.
Yeah.
So that was all good. I think my gripe with this movie more so is like it's pretty long, and the action when it does happen, aside from that final fight scene, is just pretty forgettable. Like, Spider-Man almost gets made to look like he's not strong, even though he's been through Civil War, his own movie, Infinity War, and Endgame.
Yeah.
And he's just, in this movie, he just looks super incompetent for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Until the end,
when he finally gets his confidence back, I guess, maybe it's just he has a confidence problem throughout the movie. But like
maybe it can be in part to Tony Stark being gone. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a psychological thing. But like when he gets his spider sense under control, and he does that run down the hallway with all the drones and everything, and that little twist where he catches the gun when he's about to,
Oh, it was fantastic.
That was great, and you can tell when he's got his eyes are just tearing up, and he's like he's had enough. And I get that when a hero gets to a breaking point like that, it can be good, but I feel like he didn't get beat up enough. We've said this in an earlier video. Maybe,
yeah,
I think. Like, I love it when, not that I like seeing people just get beat. Like, I don't want it to be mean, but I want the hero to go through a struggle to where he has to look like the underdog and come back. But really, all this was is he looks like an incompetent person the whole movie, and then he just has this scene where he just kills a bunch of robots, and then he beats a guy with no powers, basically. I just feel like he needs to get beat up in hand-to-hand combat a little bit, or if someone does have a suit, they can use their powers or abilities or whatever they're having to like just beat the shit out of him. Like I want to see the suit tore up. I want to see him getting hit in the face with punches, like in the first movie. On the beach, Vulture's like stomping him into the ground and like just like basically just ragdolling him. And I want to see that. And then he just finally finds the resolve to he just rises up and overpowers him, and just, whether it be through something smart that he does or like some crazy move or whatever. But in this, he just runs down the hallway and blows up a bunch of robots and then catches Mysterio. And that's, I don't know. It's just kind of boring. It's kind of a boring payoff.
The same thing too, because like, you know what, he doesn't like, because something about being introduced to Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and seeing his ass pretty much get his suit ripped apart every movie, and just seeing him bleed, and
he's almost dead every movie.
Almost dead every movie.
He barely survives the fights. Like
it sets a standard for everything else, but at the same time, I dismissed it for this one. I think just because I'm like, you know what, Mysterio is not going to be the villain that's going to be the physical threat like Bane is to Batman. He's going to be the one that's like going to fuck his mind up. Another thing I definitely want to talk about before we move off of it is I know a lot of people are split on it, but I definitely like all the suits that were used in this movie. I like the black and red. I didn't think I would, but I actually liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate it when it's functional. It's not meant to be aesthetically pleasing. It's meant to be functional for what the situation calls for.
Right.
So it worked just fine. The stealth, like the black suit that he used during the Molten Man fight.
That Night Monkey suit.
While not really aesthetically pleasing, I can appreciate because it's meant to be stealthy. So black and red isn't a horrible combination. Obviously, it's just different.
Yes, it's not Spider-Man we know for sure. It's just kind of like their own. I want them to keep the blue going forward, essentially, or at least add blue. Just have black and blue, kind of maybe secondary colors. I don't want them to be always red and black. I definitely like the blue look to it too, but we'll see what they end up doing.
All right, well we're finally done.
I think we are.
That's So the 23 movies, what is it, 12 years? So there's 23 movies that we covered here. It's a 12-year long story. Pretty great job for the most part. Like, just the sheer amount of material, character work, storytelling that you've combined into this one big long Infinity Saga story, and to just cap it off with Endgame, and then you have the show kind of the aftermath with Far From Home. In total and everything, the MCU gets an S tier ranking. I mean, it just did such a good job with all the material that it was given and that it pumped out.
I agree.
Even the bad movies, that we've dogged on, we had good things to say about them. They did their job. They furthered the main overall story arc of the Infinity Saga.
I think overall, yeah, the good outweighs the bad. This is one of the best franchises that's ever been in movies, arguably the best. So much goes into it, so much thought process, and I think overall, yeah, I say the same. It's definitely, if I had to rank the entire franchise, yeah, it's definitely S tier for sure.
Alright guys, this is post-editing Connor. I'm going to actually move up Endgame to S tier real quick. I realize we didn't do that when we were actually recording, but I feel like there's no reason to put it in A, other than me just nitpicking little things. And as Corey said, Infinity War and Endgame are basically kind of one long giant movie. And Endgame is amazing. Some of the greatest moments in movie history. Everything else on here, though, I think is in a good spot. I feel pretty comfortable with everything else. We're done now with the MCU, so it's been a long trek. I mean, it's 11 years worth of movies, like we keep saying. One giant long story, the Infinity Saga. Despite some of the chapters of it being weaker than others and some being really great, the story as a whole, Marvel and everybody, all the directors and the cast and everybody involved with all these movies did a great job with the sheer amount of storytelling and character work. The whole MCU gets an S tier, like we said. Let's hope they keep up the good work going forward. With that out of the way, we'll end our discussion of the MCU finally. We got some exciting new topics and discussion videos coming up. Be sure to keep supporting us. Subscribe to the channel. Like these videos. Comment down below if you guys want to give us some feedback. Make sure you turn on notifications again so you know when a video comes up. The next thing that we're going to be coming out with is a Halloween themed video this Saturday. Be sure to check that out. As soon as it goes up, it's going to be scary good. With that being said, we'll go ahead and end it here, guys. We've been off script. That's a wrap.